Hey guys, for this video, we will be sharing the full guide and tips for Dragon Raha class Puppeteer. So brief introduction guys, Puppeteer is powerful, especially on team and group PvP. Puppeteer is well balanced because of the ability to block damages, wide AoE skills, and the unique skill called Laceration. Also, Puppeteers have good crowd control skills like knockback, delay, and aerial. And Puppeteers have defense debuff skills which lowers the P-def and M-def of enemies. So Puppeteers are pure mage class which have long-range attacks that can easily micro melee class. And Puppeteers are wing class and can be unlocked at level 90. However, I noticed that Puppeteers have slight delay on spamming skills because of high cooldown requirement and because of the fixed percentage reset proc. Also, Puppeteers have long time to transform, especially on one-on-one PvP train arena, where you will not always start with full transformation points. So we will be discussing the skills of Puppeteer, the 2 PVE builds, PvP DPS and tank builds, and other tips like ally set, cores, stats, and gear sets. So let's talk about skills. The first one is Omni Guard, which will give you block effects. So the block damage is the lower between the fixed damage blockable or the 50% of the damage to be received. Also, if this skill is used to break free from any crowd controls, you will gain extra super armor and bonus block, which is times 5 of the blockable damage. So in here, before I use the Omni Block, I received 9.8k damage. But after I used the block effect, it came down to 4.8k since it is lower compared to my 26k fixed blockable damage. The next one is the Paper Hurricane with high damage and can knock back enemies up to 10 meters. This is a good follow-up skill to those enemies with laceration effect. The next one is the Razor Wheel, and this is the skill that gives laceration effect to enemies. So the fixed combo is Razor Wheel followed by the Paper Hurricane to knock back the enemies and to maximize the damage of the laceration effect. The next one is the Force Cleaver, a damage skill, and this gives 20% chance to unlock the Suppressing Spirit. Suppressing Spirit, aside from high damage, can inflict delays on enemies and Mark of Fate. So Mark of Fate, aside from the defense reduction, the good thing with this debuff is you can spam the Piercing Soul. And Piercing Soul, it can reset the cooldown of the Force Cleaver by 30%, and once reset, it will give additional 20% damage amplification on the Force Cleaver. Another good skill rotation, start from Force Cleaver, then Suppressing Spirit, and reset the Force Cleaver by the Piercing Soul. The last one is the Transformation. It is like the fighter's Mega Fusion state, which on this time, this will give no miss effect on the Puppeteer, and once hit by Piercing Soul, it will mark the enemy automatically with Mark of Fate. For the EX guys, we have King and Undying. King can cause fear to the enemies and decreasing their attack and slowing them down by 50%. But for me, the best option is the Undying EX. This will give additional blockable damage and 20% damage up for 12 seconds. Also, this EX will reset the cooldown of Omni Guard when activated. So now, let's go to our build. The first one is our PVE Lure build, which is good on Deity and Dragon Slayers. This build focuses on the laceration debuff while moving around the map so we can maximize the laceration effect. This is our talent for this build, and the deep talent which focuses on the laceration red part and some on the gray part. First, use Omni, then the Undying, then the Scorch, then transform and use the Piercing so you can mark the enemy with Mark of Fate, followed by Razor, then Hurricane, and then move around the map and spam the Force Cleaver followed by the Piercing. You can see the green indicator on the top of monster that have laceration effect. Once the enemy have this, try to move around the map to maximize the damage of the laceration. The next PVE build is for stationary monsters like the Clash of Swords event. This mainly focuses on spamming the Force Cleaver and the Suppressing Spirit. This is our selected talent and the deep talent, which we remove the deep talent related to laceration effects. Again, for the skill rotation, it is the same. Just manually use the Omni Guard when the Undying is ready to have the 20% damage increase buff, then Transformation followed by the Piercing Soul to mark the enemy with Mark of Fate, then use the Razor Wheel, then Paper Hurricane, then spam the Force Cleaver and the Piercing Soul. Our next build is the DPS build, which is good for solo and team fight. This focuses also on laceration, and the only change here is the talent Life Note runes, which will give additional 20% damage reduction and blockable damage. This is our selected deep talent for this build, which maximizes our damage output. Also, with this deep talent, there's additional 12% chance to inflict aerial on enemies once hit by the Razor Wheel. So this is sample 1v1 versus a fighter. So as you can see, after I inflicted laceration to the enemy, I kept moving on the map. And then I am waiting for the enemy to crowd control me before I use the Omni Guard to release it and then to gain additional super armor. And then continuously use the Razor Wheel and Hurricane combo and Piercing Soul and Force Cleaver combo. Once the fighter entered into Mecha Fusion state, just ignore them and then keep running until the duration for the Mecha Fusion state is over. Then afterwards, spam your skills. Again, the trick when faced with melee class is you have to keep roaming around the map and then maximize the damage of laceration effect. The next match is against a high mobility class like Reaper, and it's the same rotation. I always start with Razor Wheel to lacerate the enemy, and then I keep on moving around the map. I still wait for the enemy to crowd control me before I release the Omni, and then save the reset of Omni for the next crowd control. Always remember the skill rotation is Razor Wheel, then followed by the Hurricane, then Pierce to reset the force, and then spam the force, and do the same rotation again and again. So the last match preview is against a Blade Master with so many skills that have crowd control effects. I find this match up hard because of the quick crowd control skills of the BM. So it's the same rotation. I will start with Razor Wheel and then followed by Hurricane, and then once the enemy have the laceration effect, I will keep on moving around the map. Another problem is BM have Void, which it will give the BM limited super armor and move speed. That's why it's very hard to get away from a Blade Master. The trick is you have to time the dash to cancel the crowd control of the Blade Master. keep running across the map to maximize the damage output of the laceration, and then spam your force and the piercing soul. And for our last build, this is my tank build for Puppeteer, which I used during the contest or wars. This mainly focuses on defense and transformation. For the DPS ally set, I recommend the classic Eri as center, and for the tank ally set, I recommend Chi Megan as the center. Here is my recommended core for Puppeteer. And this is my recommended stat gear for the Puppeteers. And my recommended set for Puppeteers. Again, all of these are based on my opinion and based on my gaming experience with Puppeteer. Thank you guys for watching, and hope this guide and tip will help you on your Puppeteer gaming, guys. Happy gaming! Stay tuned!